Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Monday, January 6th, 2014. This morning there are a few more philosophical ideas that I am going to address as opposed to just having all news. I learned from a friend yesterday who was having difficulty logging on to PayPal that PayPal does not permit you to have a masked IP address and process payments. Now, evidently, this is not new news because in looking for some documentation on this, I found a comment in a thread from 2011. Somebody had issues with their WordPress blog accepting PayPal payments, and this person was trying to help. I found out what the issue is for future reference or for anyone else who comes into the same problem. PayPal doesn't accept payments from masked URLs or IP addresses, so the form target fix is really the only way around that. Oh well. So here we see that PayPal does not permit any degree of anonymity. Now, they say that they keep their information secret, but you may not keep your information secret from them. And interestingly enough, there has been this whole PayPal tie-in with Glenn Greenwald, who supposedly is trying to help Ed Snowden release all the information about NSA spying. Well, most of you probably know, although this happened in the middle of December when we all were focused on Christmas shopping and things of that nature, putting the tree up, that there is a PayPal guy, executive, who has sponsored a network, an alternative media network for Glenn Greenwald. And I have a few articles on this, and I have mentioned the controversy raised by Sibel Edmonds of Boiling Frogs about this whole Glenn Greenwald issue. It's not new news, but learning yesterday that PayPal doesn't permit people to process transactions if they have a hidden IP address, it just kind of triggered this thought of, wow, PayPal is not our friend, okay? And most of us still use PayPal. Let's face it, it's convenient. But hopefully there will be means for using Bitcoin online that will permit us to move away from PayPal. From Prison Planet, is Glenn Greenwald's alternative media network another CIA Mockingbird operation? So there's that definite possibility. Well, you know, how's that for paradoxical speaking? It's a definite possibility. I think it's worth all of our consideration that this potentially is so. And this is the most recent post that I have up today on this topic. Snowden documents stolen from the public, should they be entrusted with Greenwald and his PayPal billionaire owner? That's essentially what this amounts to, is that a guy has paid Glenn Greenwald a lot of money to release this information slowly. And the fact that he's releasing us, you know, we cheer Ed Snowden. I think Ed Snowden really is probably a good guy. But Glenn Greenwald has become his handler. And I'm not sure that Glenn Greenwald, in fact, I have serious doubts about his integrity. And here's just another thread on the same topic from the Project Avalon forum. Glenn Greenwald sells out Edward Snowden. Sibel Edmonds versus Glenn Greenwald, whistleblower versus whistleblower. It's important to determine what people's intentions are. And I don't think there's any denying that if somebody is moved by financial gain, we probably can't really trust them very much as a source of truth. After all, we know that the love of money is the root of all evil. So, again, I think Ed Snowden is probably a good guy and probably has good intentions and a tremendous amount of information that we all need. But I believe that his information has been diverted. And here's the guy, PayPal Omidyar. This is the billionaire who has been working with Glenn Greenwald. And here's that. This is, again, this older article, but I think there was so much going on in the middle of December that some of this went by unnoticed, or at least did not receive the attention that we all really should be giving it, probably. Cook, Libertarian, Glenn Greenwald's NSA hypocrisy, PayPal Omidyar. Now, I don't agree with everything that's written here, because they are really blasting Ron Paul and lumping him together with some of these other people. And I don't believe that he's deserving of that. But the ideas here are valid, that if Glenn Greenwald has been paid a lot of money by this guy, and PayPal very, very clearly has worked with the NSA, and Glenn Greenwald said as much. So the whole story is not going to come out, because the PayPal piece is going to be missing. And the PayPal piece is a huge piece of this puzzle as we piece together the picture of what the NSA has been doing. So I guess this is left to our imagination. But we don't really have to imagine much if we know our spending through PayPal, and certainly makes us very predictable as they look at our statistics, and they can pretty much read our mail, which of course they're doing through email anyway. So it's important to be aware of all this, and if we can find alternative means of transacting business online and even being online, I think we're better off. And I'm certainly not absolutely endorsing Bitcoin, but I'm hoping that we move to alternatives like Bitcoin. And the issue, what people want to say, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't mind anybody watching you. I think it's the intent with which we are being watched that is significant. And if the intent is to control and dominate and direct us, and ultimately to draw off the currency, the true currency that we generate, which is human potential, then we need to guard ourselves against that, and to take steps to prevent our life force from being stolen, because ultimately that's what's going on when people control us. Now, just as a little alternative point of view here, as far as being watched, this is from Hebrews 11:30 to 12:2. We are being watched, and I could have gone further back in Hebrews here to identify the company of people that is watching us. By faith they overcame, and there are just some heroes of the faith named here. And the 11th chapter of Hebrews closes with this statement: all these, having obtained a good testimony through faith, did not receive the promise, God having provided something better for us, that they should not be made perfect apart from us. And then chapter 12 begins, therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. So all these heroes of the faith are watching us. Of course, Jesus is watching us, and he has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Of course, God is watching us. So the problem is not being watched. These people this cloud of witnesses is cheering for us as we run our race. Now, UStR and PayPal and the NSA are not cheering for us. Big news, right? So, as I said, it's not even the fact that we're being watched. It's the intention behind it. But in order to block the evil intent of those who are watching us, privacy is a great shield, a lawful privacy from the Constitution, what's implied in the Fourth Amendment. If people have a right to privacy that allows them to get abortions, then, as Roe v. Wade determined, then we should certainly all have privacy to live our lives as we see fit. Now, I would add the caveat, of course, common law caveat, do no harm. And in my way of thinking, abortion is doing harm. So I'm not advocating that, that was a valid justification for abortion in the Fourth Amendment. No. All I'm saying is that example, if the implied right to privacy is so clear, then we should all demand our privacy. There's an implied right to privacy in the Constitution, according to the Supreme Court. So, okay, I'll move on. I get excited sometimes about these things. This is a related topic because it has to do with the flow of human potential and cordoning off the flow of human potential so that a few may benefit greatly. From Max Kaiser, how Pirate Bay will use Bitcoin to kill off MPAA for good, and Aaron Swartz can finally rest in peace. Now, the MPAA is the Motion Picture Association of America. That's that little seal that you see at the end of every movie that has to do with copyright law. And the MPAA are really all about controlling human potential. And of course, we believe they pay top artists, a lot of money. But I believe there are a lot of conditions, and the smart people, the smart artists, actors, when they have the opportunity, they seem to start their own production companies. And I believe the reason for that is because they know that their potential is being siphoned off in ways that benefit other people more than them. And they probably don't make a lot of noise about it because they don't want to be blackballed in the industry. But it is a significant aspect of this effort to draw off human potential and make a few people very, very rich. UStR, this is from TechDirt, UStR insists secret MPAA, again, Motion Picture Association of America, backed TPP is most transparent trade negotiation in history, from Hollywood Studio. Ha! And then the little subtitle here is from the Does Anyone Believe This Crap department. The MPAA is one of the main forces behind the TPP, that's the Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's very secret, very difficult to find out what is in that treaty. And a lot of it has to do with protecting copyright. Again, not so artists might benefit from their work, which is how this bill of sale is sold, but so that the people at the top can siphon off more. And I have a little more information on this. What Max Kaiser's original headline there. This is from Torrent Freak. How the Pirate Bay plans to beat censorship for good. And I'll just read this first paragraph. The Pirate Bay's pirate browser just hit 2.5 million downloads, but the notorious torrent site has much bigger plans in store for the new year. The team behind the site is developing a new tool that doesn't rely on domain names or server farms. Instead, users will serve as the P2P hosts of the sites, with the system running its own alternative DNS. Today, the Pirate Bay team shares some more details on the technology. And if you're interested in that, you might want to check this article out. Now, I think I want to just reiterate that I have great hopes that true artists would benefit from the work that they do. And I'm nothing against them making money now. I do think that, the guys in the NFL and some of these people that are in the entertainment industry, you compare their salaries to teachers, who's really more valuable to society? Well, okay, under Common Core, maybe the people in show business are more valuable to society. But teachers who are really advocates for the benefit and the growth of and the blessing of mankind, probably, in many respects, serve society in a way that, might they not be paid more than some of these people. On the other hand, an artist like Leonardo da Vinci or Vincent van Gogh have brought possibly more joy to humanity, have uplifted humanity more than vast numbers of other people who have lived. So again, the artist, in my mind, does have a high place in our culture, and is worthy of benefiting and reaping the fruits of their labors. But that's not what happens under the current system. So if Pirate Bay and others can give the system an overhaul, I definitely see that as a good thing. And the overhaul may begin with breaking the backs of some of these institutions like the MPAA, who have tried to dominate and control and direct and siphon off human potential. Moving on to another intense philosophical idea is Agenda 21 and the plan to move people into cities. And I pondered this a little bit, mostly because of something that a friend told me about over the weekend. And this history isn't that in-depth. There's a book about the history of the Salvation Army. One of the things that William Booth did, one of his plans in helping people begin a new life in Christ, was that he helped people transition into living a more rural lifestyle. He helped people become established on their own, in small communities with property where they could grow their own food. And this is, what's on the heart of many, many people that I encounter in this season of the earth. People are wanting to move out of cities and get back to the land. And there's something about living in cities, there's some chemistry there. Sometimes people are drawn there, and I found this interesting. I happened to be reading Genesis 13 this morning about Abram and his nephew Lot, and they had to split up. And Abram told, who later was called Abraham, told Lot, look, you go wherever you want, and I'll find another place. So verse 10 here says, Lot lifted his eyes and saw all the plain of the Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt as you go toward Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself all the plain of the Jordan, and Lot journeyed east. And they separated from each other. Abram and Lot separated because there were too many people sharing resources. But ironically here, Lot, for whatever reason, was drawn to city life. And going on, Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent even as far as Sodom. Now, they knew that Sodom was a rough place. And but the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. Why was Lot drawn there? He had a company of people around him. And I find this a little mysterious and have not really processed to the point of arriving at an answer why he would want to move towards Sodom, knowing that it was, there were evil people there. And as I'm saying this, I'm not making a pronouncement necessarily against homosexuality. I'm just reading what's here in the Bible. And you all are adults, presumably you can interpret this for yourselves. So this isn't about homosexuality. This is just about living in the city and being drawn toward living in the city. And what is that about? And I just want to go back here again to the Democrats against UN Agenda 21. The mind of God expressed through the Salvation Army was to draw people out of the city, where they would have a greater degree of independence. And the whole Old Testament, the idea of Israel living on the land, they all had their land that they cultivated and where they lived. And only the priests did not have, the Levites did not have land and lived in cities. Agenda 21, there is an agenda, and it's a dark agenda to force people to live in cities. So what is this about? Well, this is what Rosa Quire says it's about. UN Agenda 21 Sustainable Development is the action plan implemented worldwide to inventory and control all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all energy, all education, all information, and all human beings in the world. Inventory and control. Yeah, okay, people are easier to control when they live in cities. So, from the external pressure of, wanting us to live in cities, this evil agenda wanting to put us all in cities, has to do with, inventory and control. Really the same idea behind the MPAA, the TPP, and all of these agendas come together to try to siphon off, to divert what flows out of us, the life force that flows out of us. And again, currency is the same in money and the current of a river, because finances are a way to harness this life force that flows out of us. So it's really essential for us to find ways to be free, like what William Booth wanted people to move out of cities and have a piece of property where they could grow their own food. And, also with instruments like Bitcoin, the constitutional money, not the Federal Reserve, but the way the Constitution is established, that Congress has the right to provide a currency. As long as the people have a say in where their life force is going, there is liberty and there can be justice. It's when these things are controlled from above that we get all this difficulty with having our life force sucked away and have it benefit someone else when, it's meant to benefit ourselves and our children. And what I want to end with is the great blessing in Psalm 128, which certainly is good news. When you eat the labor of your hands, you shall be happy, and it shall be well with you. So the great blessing is to be able to eat the fruits of your own labors and have your children enjoy the fruits of your labors as well. So with that, thanks for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.